Hey everyone, it's Amador, and I wanted to show you guys what I was doing today. I'm actually trying to make, I was going about, I'm trying to figure out how to word this. I was going about making a cut file for this new stamp set that I got, and this one is from Felicity Jane. They have really cute collections and stuff like that, but I saw this layered flower stamp, which is part of their, I think it's the Henley. Yeah, I think it's the Henley, yes, the Henley collection that just came out. And I just really liked the way it looked. And it wasn't super complicated. And I just liked, just flat out the way it looked. I have several of the Altenew stamps, so this will work on those as well. I was starting to stamp out the darker images so I can create cut files in my Cameo. I've done it with my stamps. I'm trying to find the ones I have. With like my greeting farm and pretty much any stamp that has a border and outline. I'm sure you guys have seen tons of videos on this, so this is nothing new, nothing revolutionary. But I was laughing because I thought it was funny as heck that I'm sitting here stamping them out. I was stamping them with black ink. I was going to do one of just the flower, one of the leaf with the flower because they go here, so I can then scan them and import them into my Cameo software. Funny thing is, though, as I'm stamping, I'm like, why am I just continuously stamping? Why? Because I had this off to the side. I was cracking up. Hold on, let me take these stamps off. Because this is literally was sitting off to the side like this, and I'm like, really dumba? Like you just use this. So I'm going to go ahead and actually just use this thing, and I'm going to see if it works. This is the first time. All I'm going to do is just flip over this card. This is the card that it came on, and I just put a little acetate on here and just trying to make sure this is how they're going to stamp out. So I'm just going to put, like I said, I put a little bit of ATG on the corners. I'm going to go scan this and just use these images, like duh. Absolute duh. Like, I had one of those duh moments. I'm not even going to call it a blonde moment. It was just a duh moment. And the funny thing is, when you do this, basically I'll scan it, then I'll show you how I do the tracing feature. That's all you have to do is a tracing feature, and you get a cut. Now, you can get the cut right on it. I don't want it. I want it with a little border, so I'm going to do it that way. But at the same time, you can actually get cuts for all of the sentiments. And that's what I was thinking afterwards. It was like, yeah, you can. You know, I'm like, but I had such a dumb moment. Like, seriously. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen tons of videos on this. And I'm cracking up because, yeah, it was a serious dumb moment. So I'm going to go scan this and see how they turn out. I'll load them into my software. I just import the image into my software and everything. And I go from there. It's like super easy. I'm pretty sure, like I said, many of you guys probably already do this, but I was just cracking up. But then I'm sitting here stamping one by one when I could just use the sheet, the sample sheet that it comes with. Like, duh. So let's go scan this. Okay, so however it is that you scan into your computer or do whatever, I just go ahead and set up my scanner. I just named it FJ Rose for Felicity Jane Rose. It's under a JPEG. You can use a custom size, whatever it is that you use. It'll just scan it, and you're gonna get the exact same image that you would as if you stamp it and then scan it, whatever. I just did it that way, super easy. Toss it into your computer. Now, once it's done scanning, I'm going to then insert it into, I'm going to look for that file. Of course, it would help if I opened up my software, right? So I'm going to open up the software and the Silhouette Studio software, and then I'm going to go ahead and import that FJ Rose in there. Sometimes, depending on whether you get your images or whatever, you might have to download it to your desktop and then grab it from there. Whatever, we'll see how it works out right now. And then we're going to go ahead and do the trace tool so we can get the actual dimensions. So let me open up the software because obviously I wasn't paying attention, and then we'll get going. Okay, so at this point I have my software open. So we're going to go to File, Library, import to library. Now, I'm not sure if that's the same on the newer versions. This is I have the Cameo 2. And I think I have the version 3. I haven't done any updates because I heard that it was like crazy wonky. So anyway, so then I just go to the search. We're going to do FJ. See, look, it'll pop up. Select it, and then it'll import it into your files. And typically, like, what it'll do is it'll have it up front, up here at the beginning, so you can just go ahead and snag it right away. So we're just gonna go and grab it, and it'll be under the same file. And here I already had it set up to scan and everything for the letter size, so it'll be the exact size. Okay, so now let's just zoom in a little bit. Okay, oops, sorry about that. Like I said, I can record on my computer, but this just proves to be a little bit easier for me. So here is the image, and you can zoom in just to kind of look at it. It doesn't change the size. It'll probably be easier this way. Now what we have to go is up here to the trace tool, select trace area. It's going to select everything and now I will tell you it'll take longer. Remove high pass filter, and I typically like to set the scale all the way down to the finer one, and then we work with this one, the threshold. And we just move to the threshold all the way to the right until you have a complete solid line. See, if you go all the way, you get that you want to get before it starts to get all blurry and crazy, so you can get the solid line. Now the cool thing is you can zoom in if you want, see, just like that. And so you can get, and then just use the little the little zoom in tool or whatever, so you can get it as close as you want, so you can really see the finer feature. See how it goes. So you want it to get to the point that you have the fine line, so we're gonna leave it at that. Now what we want to do is this is what I do initially. I go to trace and detach, and it'll take a minute because all of the items that you did. So it'll take a minute. Now let's see. The reason why I like to trace and detach, because then you can remove, and all you have are these items. You can remove the background, and all you have are these items. So here we go. And I want these items. Now I was going to make a file for the rest of these, but I'm not. I'm just going to make, so I'm just going to select it and delete it. I want to just make the file for the, I just want to make a file for the bases of these. It's just easier to get everything out of the way, and see, even the little tiny numbers will it copy. Okay. Once again, now that I have the actual image, this is where this is going to be the actual stamped image. I'm going to go to offset window, select it, and hit offset. And you see automatically you get a red line around everything. That is showing you, that is going to show you that is the line that you have. That is going to be the cut file line. Oh my goodness, speak words. And over here, you can reduce it, you can enlarge it. Personally, I like to go off of, and as you go down, 0.060. I just feel like that's, or 50, we'll do 50. Because that gives it more of the, to me, visually, it gives it more of the line that you would get from an actual die. See, if you see right here, of course this is zoomed in, and like I said, I like to do 50, or let me show you 60. You don't see much of a difference, but it does have an impact on like how big your border would be for the images. I'm just zooming in and out to kind of get a visual. So, a little too far. Okay. So I'm going to, I think that was 60. Now I'm going to See right here, separate the lines. All right, I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to do 5-0, only because I want to test them. I'm going to cut some out and test to see which one visually I like better, because I've tested them in the past for both items, and I feel that some of them work better than others. Now, with this one, I could do it smaller, and I could do it right along the line and have each one, but that is how it's stamped out, so it's going to be easier for me to stamp them out. Now, that is the, oops, my best friend is that back tool. This is the 5 and the 6. So I'm going to duplicate this one, and these are the ones that I am actually going to join in. Let me see, we're going to group that because it will, that's how it comes grouped. I want to now connect it right along the lines. Now, as you can see, there's like a little bit of a white border on both. What you can do is to refine it. Go again into the trace tool and get a, no wait, we don't want that one. Get a much more refined edge, because now you are not doing the whole thing. We're gonna get the high pass off the scale, and if you zoom in, you can see right there. Here we go. And if you go all the way, it'll take the whole section again, but you want to go, you see how it's actually, you want to get it not to the point that it gets to that line. You want to have a fine line, trace and detach again, and as you can see, you now have a more, a finer line. Okay. So let's now go ahead and get these out of the way. You can always go back. You can always go back. Now you see some of the shadow still there, but that's fine. We are working with it. There we go. But it's easier to see. So now it's together. So I like to group this for the meanwhile. And we are now going to, again, go to the offset, select offset. I'm going to do a 60 and a 50. So we can actually test it. Like I said, I like to test them both. I will stamp them. I will only stamp it with the base just to see how it works. I just want to see how it looks visually under, to the eye, because sometimes program things look very different to the eye. Here is the 60. Now we're going to do, and since you group them, they will all group together. Although it shows right here, you see the line of the different ones, but once you select your size, it'll all mold into one, because you can see the lines right here. So I'm doing the 50 now, and all I do is then, oop, I went too far. All I do, I'm at like 30. All I do is then just die cut it. I will die cut it from regular cardstock first before I do heavyweight cardstock. Like I said, this is just me testing it. So now we have the 50, and see, and once you click off, you have the one set up. So let me zoom out. So now I have the die cuts. Oop. Okay. Now I have, and I will save it as FJ Rose die cuts. I have the die cuts for the leaves separate, and now I could do this one separate as well, but truth be told, it's just a pain. Let me grab the stamp, or it's in the thing. It's actually so close that, yeah, there's no point. I'm going to keep it together, but I can always just cut out one little leaf if I want to have on one, like just sticking out or whatever. But these are the 60s. These are the 0.060, the 0.050. I'm going to cut them out and test them so you guys can see how it's coming out. Sorry if this is a long video, but this is basically just my process. It actually gets easier as you go, and I think it's taking me longer. Literally, this can take me like 3 or 4 minutes. It's taking me longer because I'm trying to explain it, and I'm trying to make sure that I explain it correctly. So let's go ahead and cut some out and see how they work. I got ahead and positioned the cuts in the top part of my page, just so it's easier for me to cut out with on the mat and everything. It doesn't change anything. I just went ahead and I used, and this is what I use. I get asked a lot, like, what do I call trial paper? This is my testing paper because these are the ones, this is the white paper from, let me get this package in there, from Recollections from Michael's. And the reason is that you can get it for, when they're on sale, 5 packs of 50 for $10. So if I'm testing something out, I don't have to use like my 110-pound cardstock, my heavier cardstock, or like my PTI, paper tray ink or whatever, or any of the, the more expensive ones that they want to sell you like 6 pages for like $10, whatever. So I can use this to do trials, to stamp on, to see how things go, so I don't mess up the other paper. So let's go ahead and pop this into the Cameo. So now the paper has been loaded into the Cameo. Don't mind my mess. When it goes to cutting, I like to use, I like to use the setting for, let me see, where is it? Patterned paper. Why? It says 65 pound. That's what this paper is. Even though it says patterned paper, it's just easier that way, because if you do heavy weight or whatever, automatically it will set it to change different gauges and different settings and whatever. Just checking that my blade is at 3. Like I said, I do have the Cameo too, so it doesn't automatically change the blade. So yeah, like I said, I like to use patterned paper, even though it's not patterned, it's just white, but it is the correct pound, and to me it's just easier. So now we're gonna send it off. Now here we are. Just peel off this hot mess. And I have a newer mat, so of course all my paper becomes curled. Therefore, I'm going to let me move this. Take these off with this spatula. I don't like using the ones that they come with this, because I feel like it actually scrapes off more glue faster, which I'm pretty sure it's their way of getting, their money's worth. Okay, so we're going to keep them separate because this was the 50, and you can just see by these. Okay, making a mess at this point. You can tell which one's smaller, and like it's by a tiny bit. So this one's the 50 and this one's the 60. And this one's the 60 because I know I had the 60 on the left-hand side. Only because, like I said, we're just doing a comparison. Put my mat over there. Now, here's the funny part. I'm trying to see where... I stamp on whites. Now, I don't have like a stamping pad like some people do with the... Let me see if I have something with that they stamp with, which is basically like a glorified, what's I getting at? Mouse pad. So I just stamp on a stack of my scratch paper because, like I said, once again, and I'm just trying this Lawn Fawn Black Licorice only because I want you guys to see the difference on the spacing and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and start with, let me start with the individual flower first. I know I'm stepping on white and you'll probably see my fat head in a second. Let me just move it over here to the side so I can actually, and yes, there are better ways to here, you know what? We're just testing it anyway. There are better ways for me to do this, and I can actually get the frame of the die cut, put it in there, and get the I just want to see how easy it is for me to stamp right on it. See, told you my big head. So let's check it out. Pretty easy. I don't have to worry about getting my Misty or anything out. Look at that. Now that is the 6, the 0.60. Let us now see the 50. Like I said, the only reason I'm doing it in black ink is just so I can see the complete results of the spacing. So I am going to take this a little bit off because I just don't want to keep putting my big old head in there. And not only that, when I do this, I can actually see if I do need to go with less of the spacing. Okay. Oh. Let me see. I may have done the same one. No, this one's, let me see. This one's a little bit smaller. So I actually, this is a 60 and this is the 50. Now, you probably really can't tell, but I do like the 50. I feel it's a little bit smaller on that, so, because I had them backwards. Okay, so let's now try, let me get another block. This is probably gonna be a super long video, and someone's gonna be like, well, that was dumb. And then I'm gonna be like, well, okay. I've never used this leaf one, so let me stamp off. Okay. And you can pretty much see through the stamp, so you can see if you're right on out of the border or not. And I'm just pressing for a second to make sure all the ink transfers. This is dark ink. See? Boom. Boom. Let me try this one now. Let's get, oop, wrong way. Okay, it goes this way, yeah. And yes, I beat my stamps. Someone's like, you're a stamp abuser. I'm like, well, they're mine. Okay, so we're going to try this one now. And in all honesty, if you want a smaller space, by all means, go lower when you do your tracing tool. So it's a little bit off to the side. Pisses me off when I do that. But like I said, trial run. Now to tempt the fates. With these, what we're going to do actually is stamp the leaf first. Because you can easily, where's my thing? You can just go above it, you know, and do whatever. But I'm not trying to stress myself out. So let's go ahead and stamp the leaves first. I didn't ink that as well as I should have. I can already see it. But there are the leaves. There's the leaves on that one. And now, since we know that this goes right into this of the flower, and like I said, that would work with any of the stamps that you have, because most of them do have little sections where they interlock. The Altenew, the Hero Arts, the 5,000 other ones that are out there now. And just look for that spacing. Hopefully I got it right. It's kind of hard, like trying not to get my big old head underneath there. And if you have a little space, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so obviously I am way off on that one, but that's no problem. This is just a practice run. Let's hope that this second one goes a little bit better. And not only that, I think what's a learning thing is when you're learning how to look through your stamps, it's kind of sideways sometimes. It just feels that way because of how it's cut. So there is the leaf on this one. Hopefully this next one will come out better. But yeah, I think I am going to go ahead and just save the 50, the 0.050, and use that one. Okay, let's try this one more time and see if I know what I'm doing. Okay, I try to get it closer to this line because those can be touching. We'll find out. But like I said, it's a little bit of practice. Boom. Okay, so it may be a little bit too far up, but if you notice, it's not really overlapping. They're right on the line. So it's a matter of a little bit of practice. But there it is. I hope that is helpful. I hope that makes sense. I hope I made sense altogether. So thank you guys for stopping by. Sorry for the long video, but I really wanted to show you how I did this. Like I said, when you do it, it'll be much faster because you don't have to worry about like trying to explain it to a third person kind of situation. So thank you guys for stopping by, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye, everyone.